Hello everyone and welcome to the first game we'll be showing from round 3 of this year's FIDE World Cup, or rather from the second day of round 3 of the FIDE World Cup. It is Radoslaw Wojtaszek versus Vladimir Fedoseev, and Fedoseev lost game 1, so now he has to win on demand with the black pieces, and this game, I have no idea what this is. This is a miniature straight out of the 1700s. This is... First, before showing you this game, I will just show you, probably you know it, the famous Grecco Miniature, 7 moves long. I'm pretty sure everyone knows it, including their uncle, but just in case you're new to chess, this is the famous Grecco Miniature. And I think it is very relevant to this game to a point, because pawn to e4, pawn to b6, pawn to d4, and bishop to b7. The first time I saw this was when I installed Chess Master 11 Grandmaster Edition. I have no idea what year that was, but surely over 20 years ago, and or maybe 20 years ago, something like that. And this is the first game in the database featured on famous games, where after bishop to d3, black plays pawn to f5, white happily captures, Joaquino Grecco wielding the white pieces, and after bishop captures on g2, you have this famous sequence of queen h5 check, g6 and captures, knight to f6, attacking the queen, and Grecco just laughing in his opponent's face, playing not even g7 check, but captures on h7. With check, only move for black to capture the queen, and knight to g6 being checkmate. And I think it is relevant that you know of this game, even though you probably know about it even before me showing it to you. But this is the game now, Radoslaw Wojtaszek versus Vladimir Fedoseev. Pawn to d4, and these are 2650, 2700, 2750 plus guys. So, you know, it's just weird. Pawn to e6, we have a bit of a different move order, and we have the inclusion of pawn to c4. But now pawn to b6, pawn to e4, bishop to b7. Obviously, Fedoseev choosing a bit of an offbeat opening. He lost game 1, so now he has to throw Radoslav off guard. I mean, he's not going to do it by playing the Berlin or something. He has to try. We have bishop to d3, and believe it or not, pawn to f5. Okay, surely white is not capturing on f5. Yes, that is exactly what's happening. Bishop captures on g2, queen to h5 check, and now pawn to g6. We have f captures on g6, and there are some moves you could play, like going into knight f6, the move the unknown person played against Grecco over 400 years ago, is met with captures, and then after knight captures, bishop to g6, but this now isn't checkmate, as pawn to e6 has been played, so this would actually be very bad. But after bishop to g7, you don't have to play that. If knight to f6, you can just play pawn to g7 check, and then it's perfectly fine. Then you're just winning, because you're going to get another queen and you're going to win material. But after f captures on g6, bishop to g7 was played by Vladimir. G captures on h7, opening up a discovery, and king to f8. And you might be thinking, you put this to an engine. The engine will say, okay, black is just lost. So why would you play this? Well, turns out a lot of people actually play this with black, even at the top level. I found a game from 1978 in Tilburg. Walter Brown played it against the legendary Anthony Miles. You know, Miles, the legend who defeated Karpov with pawn to a6 on the Karpov z4. But yeah, it's not simple. It's one of those positions where even if you have an engine, you will struggle. You will struggle immensely. And in that game, knight to e2 was played by Walter Brown against Anthony Miles. Here we have bishop to g5, which is the top move recommended by the engine, but we transpose into that game from 1978. We have knight to f6, attacking the queen. Queen h4, bishop captures on h1. Finally, Vladimir captures the rook, and knight to e2. We have knight to c6, and now... in that game, knight to d2 was played, knight to f4 was played, actually, which also isn't the best. The only move that allows white to maintain the pressure and retain a winning advantage is knight to d2. Point being that after black's main idea, pawn to e5, you can castle queenside, and e captures on d4 doesn't come with any tempo, because the knight is on d2 instead of on c3. But in the game, Radoslav played knight b to c3, which allows Vladimir to sort of seize the initiative. Believe it or not, the position is now dead equal, but only if you play pawn to e5, which Vladimir obviously does. We have castles kingside. E captures on d4, now with tempo, so you have to react. Rook captures on h1, and now d captures on c3. We have knight to f4 and the knight to e5. And black's position is perfectly fine. We have bishop back to c2. Now Radoslav already down to 28 minutes on the clock, and Vladimir with an hour and 15 minutes on the clock. And up until this point, he was playing fast, and now he probably knew, okay, this is the critical position. This is where we burn time, and he spent some 25 minutes calculating his next move, and he blundered the game. Here, just knight f3. Knight f3, and that's it. You're probably winning this game as black. I mean, you can only maybe draw if you don't play. I mean, it is possible, but you're probably going to win this game. After knight g6 check, you're going to play king to e8. The queen is hanging. You have to move the queen, and now you just pick up the bishop. Queen captures, rook captures on h7, and not a worry in the world. So that is the reality of this position. But after bishop to c2, Vladimir played king to f7. And it looks like a reasonable move. Why wouldn't you do it? You add another defender to the knight. The king is less vulnerable. You connect everything along the back rank. So what's the problem with king to f7? Well, the move he missed is the simple knight h5. Tripling up on the f6 knight. And the question is, what do you play here? In the game, knight f3 was played, which is to be expected, as that is the main idea. But now, after queen to f4 and knight captures on g5 and queen captures on g5, there's a bit of a difference here. You don't really have rook captures on h7 because that bishop on g7 is hanging. So that is a huge difference. You have to do something about that. Best for black to even hope of surviving this game would be knight captures on h5. And then, okay, queen captures with check, king f8. King f8, queen to f3 with check, and now if you go to e8, then just rook to e1, that's game over, no squares for the black king. And if you go bishop to f6, then it's still pretty tricky because white is sort of winning, but you have to find rook d1 with the idea of rook captures on d7 and then queen captures on f6, followed by queen captures on h8. So rook d1 would be met with the d6, and then you bring the rook to e1. And it's still very, very hard for black to play. White is applying pressure. Black will burn a lot of time. And, maybe you can survive it, but chances are not really. So after queen captures on g5, knight captures is the only thing Fedoseev has of maintaining some sort of pressure. But he played queen to f8. He just defended the bishop, planning on rook captures on h7, and now he's just dead lost. He completely missed our good friend, the light square bishop, lurking on c2. Bishop to g6 check was played, and he was in this position on move 20 that Vladimir Fedoseev resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So Radoslav Wojtaszek, one of the first to qualify for round 4 of the FIDE World Cup. I think Matthias Blumbaum also won his game. Because there's nothing you can do. If you can go to e7 or to e6. If you go to e7, it's a pretty quick line, a rook e1 check, and after king d8 there's a rook e8 check. The knight cannot move, so you have to give up the queen, and that's it. Everything is hanging. The bishop is hanging, then the knight is hanging, then the rook is hanging. Whatever you play, even rook captures, just captures, h8 queen, whatever you want. I mean, it's completely winning. And on the other hand, after bishop to g6 check, you could go king to e6 and maybe try and escape this way, but still, to no avail. Rook to e1 check, king to d6, queen to e5 with check, and after king to c6, just bishop to e4 with check. You have to block with d5, and now knight captures on f6, removing the defender of d5, so queen d5 will be checkmate. Only way to hold on, rook d8, but just bishop captures, king to c5, you move the bishop somewhere, you give a check, king captures, rook to e4 with check, king to d3, and now either queen captures on c3 is checkmate, or queen to b5 is checkmate, or the one I like the most, queen to g3 with checkmate. I don't know why I like this one the most, I just do. Not something you see every day, and definitely reminiscent of Grecco's famous miniature with the inclusion of c4. So I mean, like I said, one of those lines that shouldn't be played if you're not 27 plus, like Vladimir Fedoseev, and even then, it's not safe. The engine says you're just lost, but it's so complicated, no one actually finds the refutations over the board. So, they were going back and forth, and had Vladimir found that one move, instead of going king to f7, if he went knight to f3, all of a sudden he's winning. But he doesn't, he plays king to f7, and then he's lost. So that's chess for you. It's a cruel game, the cruelest of them all, and that's why we love it. Hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Francisco Santana, Deepak Gangadaran, Udo Brandt, Leo Teruna Loomis, and Eddie Sphere for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day. And probably in the next video, I will announce the November Lotus Arena, so stay tuned for that as well. See you soon.